Hi everyone, this is Dango here from Rocky Valley server. In this video, we are going to talk about how to use and build Ewlin in Apex Arena. So Ewlin is one of the most strongest aggressive characters in Apex Arena, and Ewlin is good for both the free-to-play players and whales. Just because Ewlin, is known as the tank slayer, he's just strong and broken just because he can kill any of the tank in this game. And in global server especially, most of the player they play this Apex Arena rely on their tank. They don't know how to play this game without a tank. So being able to kill their tank is very important. This is why Ewlin is so strong in global server. So yeah, let's directly start with how do you build Ewlin. So I'm going to show a few versions about how to build Ewlin. So personally, I'm not an Ewlin user, but lots of players Ewlin really impressed me a lot, and I lost to some battle because of Ewlin. So yeah, so let's firstly look at a close to free-to-play player, which is Zansin. So Zansin is a player that basically he only buys like those VIPs, basically those monthly packs, and he never buy anything else. So I mean, he's not free to play, but kind of close. Yeah, and he has one of the best Ewlin in global server. Although his Ewlin is not the best Ewlin, but Zansin is one of the best Ewlin user in the global server. Like even when he's playing against those top players like Roy Lee, like Lemons, they tend to ban Zansin's Ewlin very first. So yeah, let's see how Zansin built his Ewlin. So basically, Zansin is using Ragnarok, and then for armors and helmet, which is very standard, just Annie's helmet and Annie's armor. So both are the best armor and Ewlin and armor for Ewlin. And then he's using wind chain for accessory. So these three these three items are very standard. For the weapon, you can select Ragnarok or his special gear. We will talk about when you should use Ragnarok and when you use his special gear later. Yeah, but this is basically how you should build Ewlin for Apex Arena. And for enchantment, you will definitely going to use Breeze because Ewlin is a tank slayer, which means you have to kill your enemy's tank. Without Breeze, you don't have a really good method for Ewlin to reach enemy's tank. He has only 3 mobility. You can use Apex Boots also, but Apex Boots suggests that Apex Boots means less attack and also less defense. So the good thing for Apex Boots is that you have 4 mobility, but then that 4 mobility is still sometimes or in most cases not enough for your Ewlin to kill or to reach enemy's tank. The more important thing is to wait for the Breeze to trigger. So these Apex Boots, I think at the beginning most of the Ewlin users are using Apex Boots, but now most of the Ewlin, like especially those better Ewlin users, are actually using this wing chain. And yeah, but this is, and also the class for Ewlin, you always use Lancer class just basically because land use. Your Ewlin has to counter your enemy's land use. So to counter land use, Ewlin as Lancer is the best choice for you. So this is how Zansin built his Ewlin very strong. And Zansin is one of the best PvP players in this game. Although he is not a whale, he is very successful. And the secret for Zansin is just his Ewlin, right? He has no. If we check all these characters here, right? He never rely on Leon to win a game. Listiel is very strong. His Listiel is very strong as well. But the most like secret weapon for Zansin is definitely his Ewlin. And besides this kind of close to free to play but not exactly free to play player, we also have whales that is using Ewlin in their roster. For example, let's see Roy Lee. Roy Lee is currently the highest score. Has the highest score in Apex Arena, and Roy Lee's Ewlin is no joke. His Ewlin is one of the best Ewlin in this server. So I don't think Royally is a very, I don't think Royally or his streamer, which is Xiaobao, is a better Elwin user compared to Zansin, but his Elwin is actually much better than Zansin's Elwin. And but we can see, besides the weapon selection, the other gears are essentially the same. So if you plan to use Elwin, this like Annie's helmet and Annie's armor are highly recommended. And yeah, in this case, I would recommend you to use Windshin and just rely on like braids. This is not exactly relying on RNG because you have 30% chance to trigger braids. So usually, around 3 turn or 4 turn, you should have one, turn that you have braids triggered. So it is not that hard to trigger that braids. And if your braids triggered, then that is very nice because then you can plan out and try to kill your enemy's tank. Yeah, but if it is not triggered, then you can just also like slowly push your enemy, slowly push your Elwin with your tank, just to make sure that the Elwin is around your tank so that he is not killed, and then you can try to use Elwin to kill your enemy. And the crazy thing about this Elwin is that Elwin's defense is S level as well, which suggests that his defense is actually very, very top level, which is why you should also focus on defense in your enchantment. Attack is mostly, it's definitely one of the better, it's definitely one of the important stats for your Elwin, but defense is of equal importance. Because the thing is that you can push your Elwin with your tank. He can be actually your method to counter enemy Zareda. So a very good Elwin will not be one-shot by enemy Zareda. For example, this Elwin by Royally, he can actually tank a lot of attack from Zareda. This kind of very high defense allows him to survive from enemy Zareda. So like even his brace is not triggered, even you have Zareda, as long as this Elwin is next to the tank, so that your mage cannot kill this Elwin, then this Elwin will always find a chance and kill your tank. So this is just why this Elwin is super OP. And in this case, Royally is using Elwin's special gear, so we can talk about that. So the good thing for Elwin's special gear, so this is basically a clock, right? You have 30% of decreased cooldown by 5. In this case, Elwin can call faction buff for himself, and Elwin can use Sword Soul, and you have another chance to, you have 30% chance to use that skill again immediately after you cast the Sword Soul, which is very, very important. So the reason that Royally's Elwin is using special gear, whereas Zansin's Elwin is using Ragnarok, is because Royally's Elwin always needs himself to call faction buff, whereas Zansin's box has Matthew, has like Boron, and has Leon, who can actually call faction buff for Elwin. So in that case, in Zansin's case, his Elwin usually carry two skills, which is Sword Soul and Frontal Assault. In that case, his Elwin will have enough skill to use to kill, to make sure that he can kill enemy's tank. But in Royally's case, because Royally's box has no Matthew, has no, I think he still has Leon, but because of that, his Elwin usually needs to cast faction buff for himself. This is why this special gear is more useful. And next, we jump to the troop selection. So actually, so let me jump to the answer directly. So the best troop for Elwin is basically Masked Maid. There is no other options. In like 99% of the case, or maybe not 99, in 80% of the case, you will use Masked Maid. In 19.9% of the case, you will use heavy infantry, and then maybe rarely like 0.1% of the case, you will use dragon. This dragon, some people say it is good for Elwin, but to be honest, this dragon is not even comparable to Masked Maid or even heavy infantry, and we will figure that out in a second. So why is this Masked Maid very, very strong? Just because like before entering battle, so before entering battle suggests that not only you are trying to attack, but also when you receive attack, this is also triggered. And this increases the defense and magic defense and attack by 45% at max level. So this is very, very high. This is basically crazy increase for attack, defense, and magic defense. So the thing for Masked Maiden is that, so let's think about the weakness of Ewlin. We know that Ewlin is actually very weak to magic attack, so, if your Ewlin jumps in and kill enemy's tank, and if enemy has a mage, for example, Lana and Richard, they use Dark Reaper on you, you likely killed there. But if you are breeding Masked Maid, you actually have a very high survivability if you have a decent enchant. Or, if your enemy's mage has no full health points, and then they cannot kill you if you are carrying Masked Maid. This is why Masked Maid is very strong. It provides the highest attack, and then it also provides the highest defense for Ewlin to make sure that he can survive from the magic attack. This is why Masked Maid is the troop that you will always carry. And even your enemy is using a cavalry land use, and your goal is to kill cavalry land use, you still need to use Masked Maid. There is no other option for you. The best option for you is always Lancer Ewlin plus Masked Maid. This is really the best option. And I really thank Zansin and some other players who always use Ewlin to confirm that with me. So this is basically your best option. And Zansin's Ewlin right now is not strong enough to survive being one-shot by full health points Richard and Lana. But actually, if we check Royalist Ewlin, his Ewlin can actually survive from being one-shot by Lana and Richard. Yeah, this is just why this Masked Maid is very strong. And but in some case, you may consider use heavy infantry as well. The good thing for heavy infantry is that if you are not using Ragnarok, which means that you will not have that fixed damage before entering the battle, this heavy infantry can deal more damage to your enemy. If you are trying to, for example, kill Jugular, for land use is totally different thing, but if you are trying to kill Jugular, then this heavy infantry could be a better fit if you are not using Elvin's special gear. And the other thing, and now we know that when will you use Masked Maid and when will you use heavy infantry. Still, in most cases, you use Masked Maid. But why is Dragon not a good idea for, not a good troop for Ewlin? This Dragon looks pretty decent as well, especially at level 10. It provides pretty high attack and defense. But the problem for Dragon is that, so the cavalry tag is not very strong. So, if you compare the tag for infantry and cavalry, this infantry tag provides you tons of damage reduction. Here, this emergency treatment has 20% damage reduction when your troop has 80% above health point. Yeah, so this is a very amazing tag that allows your Ewlin to be to tank from magic attack and also other physical attack. And also, if you are using Ragnarok, you will always have these overrun tags. So basically, this provides you an extra 20% of attack. So this kind of tag is actually better than the tag from the cavalry units. And the other drawback for Dragon is that this is a cavalry unit, which suggests it will have huge limitation on tails with water tail and mountain tail and forest tail. And in Apex Arena we have lot of maps that you do have this kind of tails like desert, water tail, forest tail. This kind of thing, this Dragon sucks. They cannot move. Your Ewlin cannot move. For example, if you are not using Apex Boot, which now the best Ewlin will not carry Apex Boot, this Dragon will not have 5 mobility with your Ewlin. It still has 3 mobility. And in water, for cavalry units to move in water, you will actually cost 3 mobility. So this essentially becomes 1 mobility in water. So you don't want that to happen to you. So this is why Dragon sucks. And the other thing is that this Dragon cannot tank any attack, right? if you carry this dragon and I use a mage to attack you, your Ewlin just die immediately. Like there is no like no matter what, like how high your enchant is, you're going to get one shot by any mage basically. Yeah, because there is essentially no bonus when being attacked. You have a very good bonus when you are trying to aggressively attacking, but you have no bonus when being attacked. And yeah, basically this is why dragon sucks. And yeah, to be even more frustrating is that you know, when we talk about Elwin, we think about Elwin as a tank slayer. So let's think about the major tanks in this game. We have cavalry Landius, and you know, if you use Lancer Elwin, because the animation of the Landius, like Landius always goes very fast, and the result from the animation effect is that your Elwin is actually directly hitting Landius. So no matter what troop you use, I mean, as long as you are using a Lancer Elwin, you should be able to, you know, one-shot Landius, or at least, you know, kill Landius first life without any problem. This is just how broken Elwin is. So Landius like dies no matter what troop you use. And let's think about other major tank. We have Jaguar, right? Jaguar sometimes will carry lance units, right? Especially if he wants to tank physical attack, Jaguar may carry a Lancer units. Yeah, and this dragon has no bonus to fight against the Lancer units. Even the Jaguar is not carrying a Lancer units, even the Jaguar is carrying other units, this dragon cannot deal, you know, is not going to deal, you know, higher damage compared to this masked maid. So dragon cannot, you know, work here. And other tank, Freya or like Vegas, all like they are all Lancer units. Like what your dragon going to do to these Lancer units? So this is just why this dragon actually sucks for Ewlin. So yeah, so to summarize, if you are trying to use your Ewlin in Apex Arena, your Ewlin has to be in Lancer class, and depends on what you have. For example, if you're using Ewlin special gear, which means you will not have Ragnarok on Ewlin, then this heavy infantry could be a very good choice for you if you are trying to kill, let's say, Vegas or like Freya or like even Jaguar. This can be a better choice for you just because it is going to hit harder, because you will need to trigger these overturn tactics for him to, you know, for your Ewlin to deal more damage. But if you are using Ragnarok on your Ewlin, you will always going to use Masked Maid, and this will always provide you the highest damage from your Ewlin. The other thing is that even you are using Ewlin's special gear, you may still consider using Masked Maid, although you cannot trigger these overturn tactics, because usually is that this Masked Maid is already strong enough for your Ewlin to one-shot your enemy's tank. So it turns out that tag doesn't matter. But the additional thing that Masked Maid provides for your Ewlin is the tankiness of your Ewlin, right? Even when being attacked, you will have all this bonus with Masked Maid, which suggests that your Ewlin will likely to survive a magic attack or any other physical attack. This is why like Masked Maid with Lancer Ewlin is always going to be a better choice for you. And yeah, you may feel like I didn't talk about something, which is Phalanx. So the conclusion for us is easy. In PvP battle, you don't ever carry this Phalanx for your Ewlin. This is not a good choice. Your Ewlin is trying to one-shot tanks, and in no case this Phalanx is going to deal higher damage. Even your enemy is Landius. We explained how Landius, you know, how Landius case work because of the animation effect. Your Ewlin is going to directly hit enemy Landius, so this Phalanx doesn't matter. And if you are trying to kill other tanks, then this Phalanx is not going to help you anyway. So this is a terrible choice for Ewlin almost always. And yeah, so this is basically how to build and how to use your Ewlin in Apex Arena. So now let's think about how to counter Ewlin, right? So Ewlin is, we talked about, Ewlin is weak to magic attack. Yeah, so in this case, mages will be your counter to Ewlin. And also, Ewlin cannot deal enough damage when his health point is low, because then, like if Ewlin's troop health point is low, he cannot trigger these tactics, and he cannot hit hard enough to kill your tank. So this is why mages, especially mage with AoE attack, is a direct counter to Ewlin, right? If you have black holes, if you have Rini, if you have like even Fonil, those are very great counter to enemies Ewlin. You just want to make sure you can initiate the battle, you can reduce the health points of the Ewlin enough that even this Ewlin is approaching you with his tank, you can still deal enough damage to the point that his Ewlin is not a threat to your tank. And also the other character, actually a very direct counter to Ewlin, is Listel, right? With Listel's finger or Listel's reverse healing effect, Ewlin will likely actually kill himself if he tries to attack your tank. So this is going to be, if you have land use, then if Ewlin is using Sword Soul on your land use have any extra life. But if this Ewlin, is getting fingered and he killed himself after, attacking your land use, then it is actually not a good thing for your enemy. So Listel is a very strong counter to Ewlin as well. So basically, and another counter for Ewlin is Bernhardt. So Bernhardt can counter Ewlin because of two things. Bernhardt can counter Ewlin because Bernhardt has this talent that can reduce enemies' attack and defense near Bernhardt. So this actually is a very nice debuff to Ewlin that can protect your tank from being one-shot. So this is why Burn is very good. The other thing is just because in Apex Arena, Ewlin is always going to be Lancer Ewlin, and your Burn is a Sword Burn, so this is a direct counter. Yeah, so that's all about this video. This is basically how to build Ewlin and how to counter Ewlin. If you do enjoy the video, please subscribe to my channel and give me a like. I really appreciate if you do that. And again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.